Wow, what an honor. I didn't even know what this was when Greg Hansen sent me a little Facebook note and said, hey, you were inducted. And I was like, what is it? So I went and looked, and the Bates boys that I went to high school with was on there, and other people I recognized, like, oh, that's pretty cool. So thank you for inducting me. And so I moved from Texas in 1987 and came to Arizona. And I joined the high school team. After Raul Nito, I ran the 1.5 miles in the PE, and he came over, and actually he's here tonight. There he is. And he came outside my classroom, and he was like stalking me, and he's like, hey, I heard that you did really well in the mountain. And I don't even know. I didn't know I did well. I just ran it with the Jeannie Barnes. And she was actually ran in college, and I'm not even sure where. But she said, hey, you should try out for the cross-country team. And I was like, okay. What is that? And they explained it, and I was like, well, I like running. And when we came to Arizona, we were very, very feral kids. In Texas, we lived in a town of 350 people. We knew everybody. If I did anything that was wrong, my mom knew about it within 5 minutes because somebody called her and told her, and then we got, the butt whooping when we got home. So when we got to Arizona, we did not realize that we were not in Texas anymore. So we would get on our bikes in Glen and Stone and ride them all the way to Catalina State Park, sneak past the ranger station, go hiking, go swimming. A few times the police officer even brought us back, and he's like, the kids can't be out past curfew, because we would leave at 3:30 in the morning. And apparently, I guess there's a reverse curfew. It's not just at night. And my mom would be like, what's the problem? They're swimming, they're hanging out, they're having a good time. And so I think they just stopped picking us up and bringing us back home after a while, because we weren't really doing anything. So when I started running, I came out, I met the team, and I was like, these are my people. They were a little odd, cross-country runners, they're a little different. And so I gelled really well, and I ran my first season, and I think I was 6th at state. I can't remember, but I didn't win the first season. And then I came out for track, and I broke my foot, so I was out. So the next year, I went out, and it was my first time to go to state, and my coach had told me, so we're going to sign you up for the 800 and the mile, and we're going to put you in the 3,200 just in case anything happens. Because you have to run a time trial in the 800. So if you fall down or, I don't know, just don't do well, then you can run the 3,200. So I ran the mile and won. I ran the 800. I think that was the year I set the state record. I'm not completely sure. It might have been the next year. But I was relaxing, laying on the ground. I was done. And Coach Gentry and Coach Englehart ran up to me, and they're like, hey, would you be willing to run the 3,200? And I was like, what? I don't even like to run far. No. I didn't say no, but I was thinking no. And they said we could win or possibly place at state, and I guess we hadn't done that on the girls' side. The boys' side we definitely had, because we had some phenomenal boy athletes. But on the girls' side, we hadn't placed at state in a lot of years. And he's like, if you could just place, get behind the couple of the top 3,200 meter runners, and just place at state. You got to be in the top 5 for us to place. And I was like, all right, okay. And I'd only run the 3,200 once, so I jumped in the race. I sat behind their top runner at that time. Deer Valley was amazing. There was 3 of them. So I just sat behind those 3, and I waited until the last lap, and I just outkicked her. And I was like, my coach was like, go. And I'm like, well, am I winning or what are we doing? So that's kind of how it happened. It wasn't something that, and I had a couple, reporters asked me, they're like, did your coach push you to do this? Because it was a lot. I mean, I was only a sophomore, first year at state. I was like, no, it wasn't like that. They gave me the option, and I chose to help out my team. So that year we won well, I won the 3, and we had a couple other state champions in the hurdles and a couple other events, and we actually won. I think it was one of the first times the girls won the state champions. So when everybody says I have 11 state championships, that's not true. I have 12, because my favorite one is the one that I ran with my team. Because the next 2 years, I did win the races, and it was great. But it was no fun standing up there by myself, like, yay for me. Where it was a lot more fun the first year when I won, and I got to stand up there with all my teammates and just be celebrated as a team. And so that was kind of, and then following my senior year, I got a scholarship to the U of A. I lettered all 4 years in cross country and track, which keeps getting left off my bio. Just to let you know. So I did letter all 4 years in track, all 4 years in cross country. I took a red shirt year in the middle, so that might be why. And for personal reasons. And then I was on the Pac-10 cross country. We won the Pac-10 cross country championship one year, and I think it was 12th or 14th. I can't remember. So one thing I want to say is I always tell my kids, like, because I run a lot of events. It's different when you run sprints. It's quick, it's done, and that's it. But when you run the longer events, you got to compartmentalize. And I was really good at that. And I always tell my kids, trust your training, do the work, shut the heck up, do the work, which is basically, and I probably say it the other way, do the work, and just if you give it all on the field, or because my kids don't run track, they wrestle, play football. One of them had run track before, but everything will kind of fall into place. And if you did the best you could in your race or in your event that you're doing, it is what it is. And and I never was super nervous because I always kind of had that philosophy. And so, like, the first year I was nervous because I never run at state. But the second couple years I wasn't, because I knew I'd done the training. I knew I knew every day that was the opportunity to train and follow the coach's plan. I was doing it. So my kids have been, sometimes I'm not the nicest because I'm pretty honest. And but thank you guys. Thank you. I'd like to thank Coach McNeil came. He was one of my jumps coach. I did do a little jumping in high school. Not a lot, but a little. And I'm super happy that he came. Coach Gentry couldn't make it. He got COVID, but he was my distance coach. And I couldn't have had a better pairing of coach and athlete, because I'm part Italian. I have a big mouth. I'm very aggressive. I go before I think. I say things before I think. My poor mother, who's over here, had to deal with that a lot. And Coach Gentry was brutally honest. And one time I was trying to break the 5-minute mark in the mile, and I think it was my sophomore year. And he was like, I was like, why can't I break the 5-minute mark? Like, I'm like 5:01, 5:03. Like, I just kept flirting around with it. And he's like, Virginia, you eat like a pig. And I was like, what? and he's like, you had 3 plates of pasta last night. There's no way you were able to digest that. He goes, eat 1 plate, and then the next week I ate 1 plate, and I broke the 5-minute barrier. So there was that. So, but thank you very much. I'd like to thank my mom. My kids are here. And they had, after a glass of wine, they have to hear my stories, my running stories. They're like snooze, and my husband, he's always been super supportive. And my friends, Martin and Rosemary from the gym of Tucson, where now I go work out. Well, I get in the corner and work out, So thank you, everybody, and thank you.